Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
Welcome to this edition of Helping Seniors Television. I'm Kerry Fink. I have the privilege of hosting this TV show. This whole organization, a 501c3 nonprofit, was created by Joe Steckler, who local hero here in Brevard. He is the guy that got the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation rolling. And then after he had built those up, they call them Joe's Clubs to this day. Then he, 15 years ago, created Helping Seniors of Brevard because when I met him, which was at that point, he said, Kerry, he said, there's more work to be done for seniors. He said, I realize that a lot of families will run into cognitive challenges along the way. He said, but every family needs help with senior issues along the way. And he said, I feel we need an organization that is going to be dedicated to helping seniors and their families get access to resources that are going to make a difference as they go along. So for 15 years now, we've operated the county senior information helpline. This is a free call. You just call 321-473-7770. I'm going to say it again so you get a minute to grab a pencil or make a note or however you want to do that. But it's 321-473-7770. And last year, we took over 4,000 calls on every topic that you might imagine, from housing to legal to medical to financial to transportation, you name it. We've had calls on just about everything. And our goal is to connect that caller with resources that are going to somehow advance it. I often liken it to like a football game. You can't score a touchdown every time you run a play, but hopefully each time that you run a play, you're advancing the football down the field. And maybe it takes multiple runs before you can score that touchdown, but we are here to keep advancing down the field and try to help you every week we can. That's why the education part of this is so important. And today on the television program, we have the privilege of sitting with Danica Scuderi-Carluccio, who is Advocates for the Aging, a great company here along the Space Coast that has helped literally hundreds, if not thousands, of seniors through. You do so many different things. You do case management, you do care management, you do guardianships, and you are just a great resource in the community about all things aging. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So there's a companion show I want to drive you to that we did fairly recently called we actually called it Making a Case Plan. And I think it was really, for me, it was very educational to learn about some things that need to go in, because we talk all the time about putting together an aging plan, which is designed to help you navigate those things that you might run into as you age. What we want to talk about here on this show is something very specific called case management. And I always like to preface it with my own experience of my first exposure to case management was when we were trying to help my mom as she was getting ready to be discharged from a hospital as she was getting older. And a case manager walks in and says, hi, I'm the case manager here with the hospital. Your mom is getting discharged, but she needs to go to a facility to do some rehab and things like that. And I'm here to help you do that. I thought, well, that's great. I get somebody that knows what's going on. And I'm sure she does. I'm not saying anything wrong. She was trying to be helpful, but she goes, here's the book. You tell us where you want mom to go. So it's not like, okay, you give me this book and I have the weekend and I can go. This is how this happens. But this is not, when we're talking about case management today, this is case management that is designed to help me as the person trying to help my mom, or maybe help me if it was me, right? Am I saying that right?
Correct. There are different case managers in Brevard County or the state or the nation. But for example, the hospital case manager, they have a job. They have one job to do, and that is to try to find you a place or your loved one a place when you're transitioning out of the hospital, or providing you with the right equipment and everything if you're going home. That's their job. A case manager in nursing homes, they're gathering your information. They are working on your discharge plan. A case manager in the community has a broader scope of knowledge, and they work in all environments, from the hospitals to home to assisted livings to independent livings. They'll come to you, even in a nursing home. We, as case managers, make sure your care plan is in place. Your advanced directives are in place. We understand how you want to live your life, how you want to be treated, what's important to you, down to the food you eat, the socialization, the church you go to. All of those things case management looks at in the community. For example, if we go into the hospital and see our client, we're going to ask you, what's your environment at home if you're a new patient? Otherwise, we'll know all the different based on our initial assessment. But we're going to go in, we're going to talk to you about what's your home environment like, and look, are you able to make those decisions to go home safely? Because that's important. Safety is important. Or do you have to transition to a nursing home? I'm going to tell you, I recommend the following nursing homes at this time for what your need is. Because as case managers in the community, we are in a majority of the assisted livings. The nursing homes, we know the changes. We know who are good communicators, who have great therapy. There may be a specialty that you need. We're able to provide that information.
One of the things I was thinking about, this may or may not be a good analogy, but as you were describing this, I was thinking about the case manager in the hospital versus the case manager that you would be helping me or helping a family. I was thinking of, as an analogy, it's a little bit like if you get into real estate, there's typically two agents that are involved. There's a selling agent who is representing the seller, and then you hopefully are smart enough to have a buyer's agent to help you navigate the process. And so when your seller's agent is telling you stuff, it's not that they're not trying to be helpful, but their interest is the seller. So I was thinking in that analogy, right, the hospital they're not against me. The hospital caseworker is not against me, but they are there to accomplish because they're hired and paid by the hospital to do what the hospital. But if I hire my own buyer's agent, the buyer's agent is going to say, well, you might want to be careful to look for this. Oh, this concerns me, what I'm seeing over here. This might be a better idea if we did this over here. To me, is that a fair analogy?
It is. It is. Because when you hire a case manager on your own, we're advocating for you.
Yeah.
No matter what. Our goal is not to get you discharged because that's our bottom line. Our goal is not to formulate a durable medical equipment plan. Our goal is to look at the whole picture and make sure everything is individualized to you at your timeline. And of course, working with the community around you. Our resources have to include knowledge base of, if you get a call from the hospital and say you have to discharge right now within 24 hours, we're going to be able to jump on that and say, these are the 3 facilities or 4 facilities that we would recommend. Let's do this. We'll make the action plan. That's what we do based on your individual need and care.
Back to the little story I told at the beginning of this, where I said, okay, I'm now faced with trying to figure out where's mom's next move to, and it's going to happen this afternoon. And I was thinking, like, even though the lady was telling me, well, you could start to look for the stars, like the ratings, because they do surveys and that, but I was thinking, like, but even that is how often they do the survey, because maybe the survey was done last year and they had a great score, but the people that made that great score got hired away someplace else and they're no longer there. And maybe it's not the 5-star. Or conversely, the place that had 2 stars, they changed everything and now it's just not reflected in a survey yet. But those things because you as a case manager, you're there every day. You're kind of like the boots on the ground. You see what's happening.
We are absolutely the boots on the ground. We're in the facilities. We visit the clients. We meet with the nurses. We speak with the physicians. We look at the environment. We look at the activities that are being offered, what services other than the traditional physician and nurses are offered in the facilities. We understand when there is a corporate change, a management change. We see it's very fluid in healthcare.
Yeah.
There are a lot of changes on a regular basis due to regulation or just due to the environment itself and modifications of what people need. So we're every day in the trenches understanding those dynamics. And we want to make sure for our clients or any case manager's clients, that you're going to be in the best environment to thrive.
Well, and here again, we're back to where experience makes a difference, right? Because you do this and have done this for years and years, and you're working with lots of different clients on an ongoing basis. So you really have like a breadth of experience to look at it. Whereas a well-meaning child of an aging parent. We want the best, but we don't know necessarily how to get there, right?
True. And, we're in doctors. We meet with doctors' appointments. We're in, we meet with pharmacies. We're managing medication. We're going in and out of hospitals, care providers, facilities, resources. We can give you what is up and coming, offer different options for you. It's really important to understand your case management team and the dynamics they can offer. For our team, we have over 300 collective years of experience.
Wow.
Which I think is wonderful because they're all very vested in and heart-driven to their seniors and special needs. You want to make sure you choose a case manager and a company that can give you that as you change.
So the next question I have, I understand that then if I'm taking the responsibility for the case manager in the case, that probably I'm the one that's paying for it versus, this is somebody coming in from the hospital or whatever. So I guess it means obviously I'm paying for it. Do you have to be rich to afford a case manager?
No. A lot of case managers case management companies do offer a sliding scale. The normal average price across the board at this time is typically $90 an hour.
Okay.
But 15 minutes here or there to get your information. You don't have to be on caseload. You can call and be on a standby program or use us as you need us. And most case managers will absolutely assist you in any way, shape, or form if you're on a very limited budget. We know the resources out there for all types of financial needs.
Can I make a comment about it? I think that's a very fair kind of number, because if you would sit down, what is it that they often say, like in a courtroom, only the something about a fool for a client is the person who represents themselves, because you need to know the lingo, you need to have the background, you need to know how people in the industry speak to each other, you need to know what diagnoses mean, you need to know what prescriptions can do, can't do. Think about all the expertise that comes into this. And when you are trying to do your best to Google when the doctor says a certain term and you're trying to do your own research, it's, first of all, there's a peace of mind. There is a kind of a steady hand on the tiller helping you navigate this. But probably most important is the fact that my dad had an expression. He goes, I'm not rich enough that I can afford to buy too cheap. He said, in other words, you get the help you need so that you accomplish what your objective is. And if spending a small amount of money with a case manager is going to improve your outcomes, what is the value of that? Is like the commercial says, it would be priceless, right?
I agree. And honestly, it's worth it. I mean, you're worth it. You're the one that you want to live your life the best you can to the very end, and you want the right resources given to you in an appropriate and time-efficient manner.
Yes.
So I think doing your due diligence early on, finding your case manager and the company early on, letting your kids know that you have somebody on board. That's important.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be peace of mind? Because I know a lot of times we're here in Florida, and a lot of times people maybe came here from up north, they retired and say, oh, we're going to spend our golden years in the sunshine on the beach and have a great time. And then we hear it all the time on the helpline. I was joking with a couple of people in the home care industry. They say, yeah, we always get a lot of calls right after the holidays because the kids visited. And like I said, I was talking to her all year. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. And then we go down there for Thanksgiving or around the holidays, and we're like, it's a different story.
It's a different picture. A lot of children, like you said, are out of state, and they'll call their parents. How are you doing? Ask the normal questions. Are you eating well? Are you still seeing Betty? Are you, walking the dog every day? Absolutely. I'm doing everything. And then they come home for that holiday after being away for maybe 3 to 5 years, walk in. The first thing they see is the home is in disarray. The bills are not being paid. The lawn is not being properly maintained. Their mother has thousands of pills piled up. If any pills, it could be expired pills. and they get a different picture.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my gosh, I can't bring my mom up north. She doesn't want to go. I can't move here because I have a life and an established job in, up north. I need help.
Yeah.
And that's where case managers can come in. We provide those updates to the family. We visually see your loved one. We make sure that they're in a good, safe environment. We help ensure that everything's okay, not just the answering the questions on the phone.
That's fine.
We actually are the eyes and the ears for the loved ones and their family.
We invest a lot of time in the Helping Seniors charity because we react to so many calls that we get, but we really try to, through the lessons learned from reacting to a lot of the calls and trying to help people navigate the situations, we really want to champion people Joe called it making an aging plan. We call it getting your ducks in a row. And there's two very important corollaries that we always bring up, and you're touching on these already. One, we always say, don't try this on your own. Because you could be incredibly intelligent. You could really even have a passion or an aptitude to be willing to learn. But there is a difference between somebody who's been doing this for decades. It's going to be hard to catch them if you're just doing a weekend's worth of study on the internet. And that's assuming that you're getting good information on the internet versus having the ability. So don't try this on your own when there is so much good help. But the second thing is actually, I just said, well, it's great. You can search this on the internet. But we also tell you to be careful on the internet because everything you read on the internet is true, right? I mean, there's no question. But seriously though, one of the challenges is you might find a great resource where people say, I can talk to you remotely and help you case manage from Wichita or something like that. And they may have good intentions, but they're not walking the dirt around here, and they don't know what's going on beachside. They don't know what's going on in Viera. They don't know what's going on up in Titusville. And having the opportunity to work with somebody who's local, who this is their business, they know everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's the person you want to help you navigate, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's fun for us to see our clients thriving in the environment they want to be in. For example, as a case manager, I have a client who lives at home. She has dementia. She has short-term memory loss. But in her routine and in her environment, she's done really well. So we make sure we enhance the help.
Yeah.
So her medication, she can't fill her boxes anymore. We know several pharmacies to be that will deliver them already pre-packed at say PM and AM.
Wow.
So that's giving her a little less stress and giving her daughter the knowledge that she sees her medication there. They're AM, PM. Mom could still manage her meds. We as case managers think out of the box to make sure that we keep you as safe as we can in an environment you want to be in. And it's important to know our resources around us, be creative in making sure that you're as autonomous as possible, because that's your goal, is to remain as independent as possible for as long as possible.
I was thinking even also as you're talking about this, what is the value of peace of mind? It's like to me, if you have a good resource we used to call it a Rolodex. I guess now we call it our contacts. But when you have somebody to call when you run into something like, okay, I was just here. This is what they just told me, or this is what's going on. And you can call somebody, doesn't that they can't necessarily make the issue go away directly, but just having somebody who understands the issue and knows what options and can help dissect what's the best next move. Isn't that important? That's something is priceless, right? Because you're reducing the stress.
Right. Reducing the stress, keeping the comfort, keeping the independence, and making sure there's tons of quality. And that's what we want.
And something I was asking you before the show, and I think it's important if we could bring it up, is you said there's lots of times that people can use case managers. I said, does this happen just because mom's in the hospital? Now we're going to call and say, what's our next step? And you were saying, no, there's lots of different times that a case manager, so it seems like you would be wise, maybe even to give you a call when everything's going just hunky-dory and get that relationship established. So as stuff comes up down the road, you're not having to well, let me tell you the past 20 years and then you're having to work with it like that.
The best time to do it is now, not while you're in crises, not while you're just curious because now mom's in the hospital, plan ahead.
Yeah.
It's just like your estate planning, plan ahead. You want to be able to say, hey, if this happens, how am I going to know how my mom or my dad or my loved one is faring if you can't get there right away? You know you have boots on the ground. Many care plan companies have a standby program, which enables families to get all the information to them, have a great, solid foundation. We know exactly what your loved one wants. We have the knowledge, we have the resources, we have copies of all their documents. So we can make sure nothing, there's not a beat to skip. We're on it. We make sure your care is not, your care goes smoothly. It's important beforehand because honestly, it's so much less stress. And you know that somebody knows everything that they should to make a good, proper decision for your loved one.
Yeah, I was thinking like I would call it, I don't know if you guys call it, I would call it like a contingency plan. You would want this set up so that, maybe your plan is I'm going to run this, but I still want some professional insight. Like, does this make sense what I'm thinking here? But then stuff happens, right? You could be out of town and now your loved one is in a situation and just because you got a travel time, but boy, there was a local resource in there, especially if they were already up to speed on what's going on. They can be right there on the spot.
Absolutely. And case managers they don't have to be full-time.
Yeah.
They can be families and loved ones can hire a case management company and have them available if the children decide to go on a month-long vacation. Case manager can step in and perform those duties and put in the resources that are needed to make sure that your loved one feels good and is comfortable. So we can be included in any part of your life. It doesn't have to be full-time. It doesn't have to be part-time. It can be a question here or there on stand. If insurance is a concern, you can call us right before open enrollment and we can say, hey, these are your options now. These are the best.
Yeah.
So we're more than just care planning. We are literally life planning for you. We offer a lot of resources, elder law attorneys, funeral homes, vita or hospices, anything that you would need, we would be able to provide to you.
And again, here we come right back to this thing, like having that peace of mind of having you in the contact list of saying like, okay, the doctor just said we should do this. And then you can say, let me bounce it off of Danica or whoever in the team that we're working with. It makes all the sense in the world. And again, what I hear you saying is you don't have to be rich and famous to be able to afford this. You're able to work with people and make it fit within where they're at.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So as a step, if somebody's been watching this and they're hearing us talk about this and they're saying like, okay, maybe I should take another step, what would you tell them to do next?
I would tell them to vet several case management companies, see what fits best for your loved one, meet with them, with your loved one, go over, have a consultation, get the information, gather it, and then make a decision. Because it's really important to include this as part of your care plan.
That aging plan, which is what Joe has always called it. And again, we talked about making that plan so that you really know where you're going. It makes all the difference in the road. It's kind of like, I use the analogy of like a little ship out on the sea, and hopefully the sea is all calm and smooth sailing and all those kind of things. There's a beautiful moon out tonight and all those kind of things. But every once in a while, that sea will start with waves and different things. And I guess the point is, when you've already determined where your destination is and how you want to navigate toward that, you may run into some rough waters along the way. But with the help of somebody like you, we can circumnavigate some of what's going on because you will have the experience and the expertise to know how to help us to do that.
Yes, most likely we have encountered that situation before, and we know how to get around it, above it, or beside it, and make sure that no matter what, we get through it.
Danica Scuderi-Carluccio with Advocates for the Aging. If people want to give a call and just explore this whole concept more, what do they do?
They can call me at 321-953-2273. They can look on the website and learn more about our team and our expertise at advocatesfortheaging.com.
And you're there really to kind of fit and work around whatever is going to be best for the family. That's what my big takeaway from the conversation today is I don't have to have an estate beachside. I could still give you a call and say, here's what's going on with my family. And you guys could help us figure out what to do next.
Absolutely.
All right. So Danica Scuderi-Carluccio with Advocates for the Aging, thank you for taking the time to share with us on today about this. It's an important topic, and it's a great part of your aging plan. If you take a moment to go ahead and put these things into your aging plan. Our founder, Joe Steckler, he was adamant. He said everybody needs to have their own individual aging plan. And again, as I mentioned before, we kind of liken it to living in Florida. We get a hurricane plan. We understand what that means. We don't want a storm. We just want to know that we've thought through how we're going to navigate around it if it's bearing down on us. And when you put your aging plan together, and especially when you get the right help and expertise to put it together, now you're really going to have the most successful cruise through the golden years that you can. And everybody's situation is different, which is why you have to have the experience that will make all the difference in the world. So thank you again, Danica, for joining us on this edition of Helping Seniors Television. And we'll see you next time for Helping Seniors TV.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses, and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.